we'll start pretty close to 5:30, and then when Supervisor Sarah joins us, I'll let her have a statement. I know that Rachel, Supervisor Dowling, will actually have to exit at some point. She also has the information systems meeting, so we'll readjust some things, but we'll get through all the subject matter. So, all right, it is 5 o'clock. We are
5:30.
at 5:30. 5:30. I'm 30 minutes behind. So anyway, it is 5:30. We'll call the meeting. Roll call is we have in person, we have myself, we have Supervisor Haran, Tamisha, and we have Supervisor Dowling and Catherine online. And so we're all together, and then we have Tamar Mathwig, and then we also have Melissa Stafford. I know, like, knew your name. I knew it. I'll go through all the names. Anyway, so we have, it's just part of that stage of our life, you know. Anyway, and they're joining us. They're interested in joining the Diversity Affairs Commission. We'll talk about that a little later. We have we'll have the invocation if Supervisor Haran wants to do that, or if you're not prepared, we can move on.
Well, I would like to say that because we are a governmental entity and we want to keep church and state separated, if we could just have a moment or a minute of quiet,
Sure.
I would appreciate it. And I guess I'll say amen when we're done. Thank you for the time, Father, that we have together. Amen.
Amen. All right, so we do have an agenda. I think Catherine and Rachel, you guys should have that. You can see it online. We're looking to adopt the agenda. Could I get a motion on that?
Move to adopt the agenda.
Misha first. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Kay. All in favor say, or any discussion? See no discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed like sign. The agenda is adopted. And then we do have some very extensive and well-crafted minutes that I read through. Does everyone have those, or am I need to pass those out? They're all here. So if you've not, do you two ladies online have a copy of these?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
And then if you haven't read them, you can feel free to say anything you'd like, but can I get a motion to accept the minutes?
I move to accept.
Tamisha first, and then can I get a second?
Second.
By Kay. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Minutes are,
I'm abstaining just because I wasn't there at the last meeting.
all right.
This is Catherine.
Yeah, no,
That's okay. Catherine, the county board rules changed and you and I can't vote because we're online.
but don't worry about tonight anyway.
I know.
I'm so sorry.
So anyway, nothing really to talk about with that anyway. I don't think we have any significant votes anyway, so it shouldn't make a huge issue. Do we have any public comments? Any public comments? We'll wait for Shauna when she comes in.
Well, Conley. Or Menashe.
Conley, you have one? If we could unmute Conley and then feel free to chime in. And then it says 2-minute time limit. I'm not holding a stopwatch. If you go 5 minutes, I won't scream, but maybe Kay will. So go for it.
I will keep this very brief. Thank you. Just on one of the items that you have on your agenda, I want to make a brief statement. And unfortunately, the direction and implications that have happened recently are beyond unfortunate and disheartening to me. Now, during several of the meetings of this committee, other committees, and on the board, there have been several statements of caution in how you proceed. And unfortunately, I think some of those have been neglected. And sadly, I think there has been an unfortunate turn. And only in the interest of time, I'm going to mention some articles that have been previously stated, and anyone can look these up. Newsweek, on February 23rd of 2021, author Monica Osborne wrote, "Why Things Are Becoming Binary and Punitive." Associated Press picked up the story. Carolyn Thompson and Heather Hollingsworth, February 20th of 22, where people are being bullied and committees are being dissolved. Gendereconomy.org suggested that things are now becoming ineffective and in some cases are doing more harm than good. Vitana.org, December 13th of 2018. It demonstrates that there is now diminished communications and that there are barriers that are decreasing trust and report hostile environments. And I think we're beginning to see that, unfortunately. AvataRinc.com, why some of these strategies are failing. Forbes, June 29th of 2020, why efforts are failing to deliver. New York Times, August 11th, 2021. I, of course, concede and always will argue that discussion and education are absolutely paramount. And it's important to avoid legal and community dissonance with misunderstandings unchecked, with unclear definition, unclear implementations, and the lack of accountability. As predicted in many of the new articles that I cited previously, there are now lawsuits being filed all across the country. The most notable ones are now against Coca-Cola and American Express. They are happening on state and local governments as well. Now, naming problems without singularly being clear, without any real solutions, only perpetuates greater division. Previously, and on more than one occasion, I shared about a colleague of mine that was told, "You weren't Black enough." Let me make very clear, this did not happen in the discussion with this or any previous committee sponsored or affiliated with Winnebago County. I also thought the message was a little more clear, and I failed to clarify that it did not come from a person that was of a different demographic. Please take note of that. To those that made a parallel that were drawn completely inaccurately and incorrectly. Now, I wish I had the insight to be able to offer the resolution and the solution to this problem. What I do know is that as long as people are still continuing to talk, there is hope for progress. Division and labels are not conducive to progress. I look forward to the work of this committee and always remaining in open discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Hanson. Anyone else with a comment they'd like to share? We got a couple from the public here. All right. Are you back up? Are you for second round two, Conley, or you just have your hand up from the last one?
Sorry about that. I forgot to take it down. Does anyone have any questions regarding what I said?
I do not.
Thank you for it.
I just wanted to say thank you, Supervisor Conley, for clarifying that the incident that happened did not come from our group. So I very much appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Supervisor Dowling, I know you were on a little bit of a time crunch. Did you have any comment to make? Or you had a statement?
Yeah, is it okay if I read a statement that I wrote?
You may.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Supervisor Dowling. Hi. I'd like to start with a quote by Henry Van Dyke, and the quote is, "Never believe anything bad about anybody unless you positively know it to be true. Never tell even that unless you feel that is absolutely necessary. And remember that God is listening while you tell it." We live in a time where the majority of what we do online or in person is documented. This is a good reminder to be vigilant about keeping our speech and actions in check. County Board Supervisor Karen Powers made comments about myself and the other Diversity Affairs Commission members. Supervisor Karen Powers strongly implied that I was racist and that I didn't understand systemic racism. I felt like this was a personal attack on my reputation and the other commission members, which include members of our community. These comments about myself and the other members of the Diversity Affairs Commission were very unpleasant and shocking. Unfortunately, I was not given an opportunity to speak and defend myself. I struggled at the last county board meeting trying to decide if I should say something publicly, but I wanted to give Supervisor Karen Powers an opportunity to apologize for her actions. However, she did not do so. Below are the 4 items I would like to publicly address. This was the first time I've ever been called a racist. The county board supervisor, Karen Powers, who implied this about me, doesn't know me, and I will rely on my previous actions, speech, and character to refute this accusation. Our DAC members were also accused of belonging to a group known as QAnon. This supervisor, Karen Powers, described QAnon as a racist group promoting conspiracy theories. I honestly didn't know what this was, but I did some research about the group, and after my research, this horrible claim was very hurtful. Karen Powers also suggested that County Executive John Damel and our DAC Chairman, Jared Longside, were both racist. County Board Supervisor Karen Powers implied that County Executive John Damel and Jared Longside told someone they were not able to be a member of the DAC because they were not black enough. And there are a few issues with that assumption. As everyone in the room knows, Jared Longside just became our chairman in August and was unanimously voted in. Before that, our chairwoman was Lateria Garrett. And while I don't know Lateria outside of our monthly meetings, I have a very difficult time thinking she would make a comment like this. And then just lastly, based on the bylaws, there's no possibility that County Executive John Damel made this comment because our bylaws give us as members the only authority to invite new members in. And then my 4th point is that during her comments, Supervisor Karen Powers also used a racial slur. And that was very, very upsetting to me. That kind of language is unnecessary and very hurtful. I am still upset about the comments that were made and the hurtful language that was used and the attempt to dismantle my character and the other DAC members' characters and reputation. I did speak with Chairman Tom Egan about the situation, and I requested that he speak with Karen Powers, that she would be sequestered or disciplined for her actions. I did speak with Mr. Tom Egan again, and he confirmed that he spoke with Karen Powers. He did mention that he gave her a stern warning, but no other action will be taken. So just want to give everyone an update on that. And I'm obviously still upset about it, but thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Then we do have Supervisor Zastera who has something to say. We'll let her talk, and then after that, we'll get into the rest of it. So we got a couple of hands. Catherine, we'll let you have as much time as you want after Shauna, and then Conley, did you have another comment? Or is that?
I did. I just wanted to make a clarification, if I could, please.
Sure, I'll get back to you on that. I'll let Supervisor Zastera go, and then we'll go back to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I would just like to read my statement to be as concise as possible. On Monday, September 19th at 3:30, while attending the Wisconsin Counties Association conference, I attended the 3:30 session called DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, regional meeting called Lessons Learned. Milwaukee County Board Chair Marcelia Nicholson and Brown County Executive Troy Streckenbach introduced the Wisconsin County Association membership to their diversity. Now, this is just a little bit of the explanation of the meeting that I attended. They conducted meetings in all 7 Wisconsin County Association districts, that would be Marcelia and Troy, and helped counties build purpose around diversity, equity, and inclusion. This program highlights the success of these regional meetings, lessons learned along the way, and how diversity, equity, and inclusion concepts can be tailored to fit each county speakers. The speakers were, again, Marcelia Nicholson, County Board Chair in Milwaukee County, Troy Streckenbach, County Executive, Brown County, and moderator Eric Pritzel, County Administrator in Oconto County. I, Shauna Coster, listened to this meeting. We have protective measures against racism and discrimination in human resources, landlord-tenant agreements, employee action programs, free legal assistance. But I asked specifically at that session, when it was the audience's turn to question about affirmative action and why do we need more education on diversity, equity, and inclusion if we have like programs like affirmative action, along with the other things I mentioned. Mr. Streckenbach told me simply that affirmative action just doesn't work. It's just not working. So that was the answer I received. Later in the meeting, as I continued to observe, I was very aware that this was really a one-sided telling of this issue. Marcelia is a beautiful, well-spoken person, but it was really feeling very, I don't know, strange to me. When Chris Dickinson, an audience member who is a county supervisor, stood up and began to challenge Ms. Nicholson's presentation, at least a dozen people sighed, moaned, talked. Eric Kritzel, the administrator who was holding the microphone, who had withdrew the microphone from Chris at one point and said, "Get your question, please." However, all of the other audience members who commented were allowed to make a statement and or ask a question. It was only the person that was resisting the rhetoric that was brought forth that was prevented from exercising his First Amendment right to free speech. Therefore, I shouted uncontrollably, maybe, "Let him speak." I spoke with Marcelia, Troy, Eric, and Chris after the meeting to let them know that, hey, look, didn't get a lot of sleep last night, and I just kind of, this is my story. So to Marcelia and Steve Binder, I shared my story afterwards. That is, in my immediate childhood family, my mother had over 30 years as a caseworker, intake worker, child abuse, independent adult abuse investigator, court appearances, a president of the union, died unexpectedly in 2011. I have a bachelor's degree in social work from 91 and experience in several units in the hospital, adoptions, disability cases, abstinence education, birth parent counseling, and so on. 2 other siblings have a doctorate in social work and or a master's in school counseling. In adulthood, I understood that personal choices influence our lives. So, and self-accountability and responsibility must be taught to effectively help others, which kind of was a little bit counter to what a lot of the things I learned in my social work degree. I was starting to question things. Teaching them that races, which is rather nations or people groups, or societal positions or identities have less opportunities than others is counterproductive. So I learned that that was important. And in adulthood, I expressed my discomfort in being around certain lifestyles to my family members, just when we were doing recreational things. To which I was gaslighted, scapegoated, demeaned, shunned, accused. And recently I spoke with one family member and I tried to explain that I was colorblind. I continued to try to prove that I am a well-meaning, effective person in the community, meaning I was inclusive as a mature citizen should be. This individual, this family member who requests millions of dollars of grants from the government on this issue, laughed at me, was scorning me, sorry about the typo, and questioned the intent of my heart. Another instance came when I was told at the end, this was when I was in my 20s, at the end of a 24 hours in the vehicle going from Iowa to a Western state, that I would be staying with a same-sex couple. I was simply just being honest with my family members and say that I did not want to do that. I was called a bigot, I was shunned, and I was told other things that were not equitable or inclusive and were quite damaging, frankly. I proceeded to find my own housing at a hotel that moment, boarded a Greyhound bus and returned back to Iowa on a 40-hour bus ride. Implacable are those is the word that comes to mind, and implacable is something that I would say resides in those who are at the very heart of this matter. Maybe not those people that are feeling like they're on a mission and part of this overall, movement, but at the very heart of the matter, I would say implacable is coming to my mind. And I've learned this and feel that I have the right to say this. Implacable means impossible to appease, not capable of being pacified nor relieved. No, Troy, Troy communicated to me in short. Troy was the person speaking, that he was a white male who needed to be educated. That he was blissfully ignorant until he learned otherwise, because I engaged with him in conversation after the speaking event. So, and again, I'm back to the speaking event from WCA. Eric, the microphone handler and administrator, indicated to me that he would not change a thing by withdrawing the microphone from Chris. Chris's words were not to be spoken, and he would do it again. And he heard me yell, "Let him speak." And he says, "I don't regret this at all." And I don't mean to go on, Chairman. So I will try to wrap this up quick here. Chris indicated to me that it was a reason that he ran for county board. So this was the man, he mentioned the book, White Fragility, and quoted, "In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man and brave and hated and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot." So I go on to the other meeting the next day, the second meeting. It was diversity, equity, and inclusion, a local perspective. And I'm gonna just, let's see here. Basically, that meeting I found to be very concerning. My coworkers, Bender and Norton, were there. And I would just say that it was very apparent that the Door County person said that it was $40,000 to do the study. And then I said, well, 70% of Door County residents said that they knew enough about this issue or knew too much about this issue, but you're disregarding them. Why is that? And he says, because they just need to be more educated. So that is my testimony of the WCA conference, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you. We're going to go to, I'm going to go to Conley first, just because Catherine, you can talk as long as you want as one of the steering committee members. So we'll have Conley go first, and then we'll get to our steering committee member, Catherine. So Conley, go for it.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to just make sure that I have made something very clear. The comment made to my friend, again, was not made by somebody from a Winnebago County sponsored committee like this one or the one previous. And I'm worried that I may have strayed from my notes when I spoke just a few moments ago. That comment did not come from a different race. So I just ask that you please digest that. I really thought that was understood when I said it before the board and before the other committee meeting. So I apologize. Just want to make that perfectly clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then Catherine. By the way, it's good to hear your voice again, and we missed you at the last meeting.
Thank you. I was traveling, so I appreciate it. I just want to address two things, and really very briefly here. I don't understand, nor do I know anything of what Rachel is talking about. It bothers me to know that, people who are in this committee are out discussing this committee and there's names being called. That's disgusting to me. And I don't think it should be addressed at this meeting, because not everyone who's involved in the DAC is involved in this other drama. I think it's unnecessary and very unprofessional to bring to this meeting. However, I personally do find it extremely curious that two new members, almost brand new members, joined this committee, one of them volunteering to be chair, only to immediately request at the exact same meeting that this committee be dissolved. I think it's interesting when we look at dissolving this committee that two of the people who are voting for this were brand new, and the intentions behind their actions are extremely interesting to me, though I don't care to know why. I think if this committee wants to move forward, why are we choosing to join a committee that we think is unworthy, unnecessary, and that there's not a purpose for it? I don't understand the actions of people who would volunteer to be on that committee or choose to chair that committee if they felt that was unnecessary committee. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So appreciate your comments, Catherine. So we have, and I do think it is pertinent to discuss the meeting from 9:15 from UW Extension Education and Agriculture. And the reason why it's important is they did make some comments that I didn't feel I needed to respond to. And so a couple things to just work through. I'm going to talk and you guys can respond any way you want. First of all, Supervisor Powers, and she could be here if she wanted to. She could be online. She can show up anytime she likes. It's an open meeting. I sent an email to Supervisor Egan, or Chairman Egan. I was not pleased with this, and so I don't know, did you watch the meeting? Rachel and, Supervisor Haran and Supervisor Dowling were there. I watched the meeting live. During that meeting, there was vibrant disagreement over our position, and that is, by the way, perfectly fine. People can disagree, and we can disagree with passion, and we can disagree with, I mean, it's the hallmark of our country. You know, that's what we're about, is disagreement. We have two parties constantly yelling at each other. And if you've seen political ads, whoever your favorite candidate is also the worst candidate all at the same time, depending on what political commercial you watch. So I get, you know, we live in a vibrant political system that gets debated and all that. I get it. There was comments made by Supervisor Binder and Zellner that I disagreed with, and I may respond to them, but I think that's less of a problem because the things I disagreed with them on were not issues of personal character. But when Supervisor Powers spoke, I'd play the audio, but I don't think it's worth the hassle. She did make a comment that she had heard a rumor that there was a member of QAnon on the Diversity Affairs Commission, and there was multiple believers in QAnon. So if any of us five are members of QAnon, that's crazy talk. I mean, I shouldn't even say that. Pardon my language. That is uncouth. That is awful. That's a terrible accusation to make about anybody. That is a conspiracy theory group. That is an awful group. That is not what I believe. I hope no one here believes that. Using derogatory racial terms is uncouth. Insinuating, inferring that I'm a racist is uncouth. It's unkind. It's not helpful. You can disagree with me. I'm 100% okay with that. I'm okay with Catherine's passion and that she felt she could say something. And I hope I'm meek enough to receive that and to consider it. And I hope that anyone who watches this or listening to it, that when they talk to me, they can say plumb near anything they want to, and I would be meek enough to receive it and to handle that situation. But it is not good policy, and I hope as long as this group exists that we never personally attack anybody. We talk about ideas, not about people. And so I made my plea to Chairman Egan, who did not respond to me. I made my plea to Supervisor Hintz, my supervisor. I have not received feedback, so maybe it's not a big issue, etc. But I'm going to leave it there. But that's my piece. They'll deal with it at the county level. So am I losing sleep over it? Absolutely not. But in this meeting, if we start talking about somebody, if you start saying that we're part of weird radical groups, I'm gonna stop it right there. There's none of that as long as I'm the chairman. All right, so we're gonna forget that because that's less important than we have to talk about here. So the way this is working is at the last meeting we voted to dissolve a second time. We sent a resolution to the UW Extension, Education, and Agriculture Committee. The folks on that committee, in that discussion with the other things, the chair of that group, Supervisor Binder, asked for it to be tabled till November. And then there was a motion and a second, and they voted on it, and so they're tabling it till November. We do not want to wait till November, as in we were pushing it forward. So we and I say we, it's going to be Supervisors Haran and Dowling are going to try to bring this directly to the board. Am I correct on that, Supervisor Dowling? If you're still listening? If she's not napping? And then is that true, Supervisor Haran?
Yes, I would say that the resolution has gone to our county board lawyer. She said because there were no names on it, that she was not able to bring it forward
In October.
in October, exactly. But she has it. It's also
There.
that I have asked to go before the judicial committee to make sure that it is correct. In my head, this commission is under the wrong committee of jurisdiction. We have basically been left to our own devices. And Catherine, it is because of Rachel and myself that we are even having these meetings and discussing this. So we have, in the bylaws, it says that there is supposed to be an education as to how this commission works. I've not been educated. Nobody's come to me to ask or suggest how we should proceed. That hasn't happened. I have learned, because I'm brand spanking, when I say brand spanking new on the board, I arrived on the board in May. I have been on the board, what, for 6-7 months now? And it was through Supervisor Bender that I discovered there was supposed to always be somebody from the executive side to take our minutes, to set our meetings up, and to provide for us, to take care, to make sure that this is done in an appropriate manner. I didn't know that. And so now our clerk, Sue Ertmer, is here at 6 p.m. taking care of our minutes, taking care of making sure that we are zoomed and recording our minutes or our meeting. There are other areas on the administrative side that could basically be much more inclusive in this process. I hear that human resources has information that would be helpful, and I don't believe anybody from human resources has come forward to try to help us out. I will tell you that at the regional DEI meeting in Appleton, there were 5 people from the health department. And Catherine, you were there, and I was there, and Mike Norton was there. So there were 2 supervisors and 5 people from the health department who were at that meeting, which says to me the health department has information and could be really helpful in pulling all of this together, where the people who are brand spanking new on the commission have not had an education as to how it is to proceed. Now, I would also like to address, having been at that regional DEI meeting, when I hear the words diversity, equity, and inclusion, that does not mean to say that somebody should be excluded. There was a gentleman there from Allegheny County who was very passionate about not being in agreement in the process. And he was shut down. He spoke a second time and he was shut down a second time. He picked up all of his books and he left the meeting. As he was leaving the meeting, he was told that had you not chosen to leave, we would have thrown you out. Now, I will say that I was not threatened by him, but apparently there were people who felt that he was very threatening. I'm not convinced that that's inclusive. And so what, do we have to be on one side or the other? To get to my point here, I am finding that at the level we are at, this is very destructive. And it's not destructive because we want to come together and work together. That's not it. We do. We want to be involved. We want to be sensitive. We want to love each other as we have been told to do. We are to sit in non-judgment. And all I have found since I have been on this commission is that we are very assertive at being at causing distress. I don't have to be on this. Well, there has to be a person on the UW Education Extension and Agriculture Committee on this committee. Apparently 2 people were approached before me and I am on that committee. And I was clueless and said, sure, I'll do it. So I'm here. And you know what? The reality of it is, I don't have to be. I am finding it really concerning in my head and heart. And I am really happy if I'm not on this commission. So Karen, there you go.
Okay.
Catherine, excuse me.
All right.
I'm done.
So let me go back to, let's calm the temperature down a bit. So we came up with a list of reasons. Part of it is, so let's go back to, and I don't want to rehash a bunch of old meetings. Part of this is the education meeting, for example. That's the primary thing we've been doing since the inception of the Diversity Affairs Commission. That's the primary thing we did. And that could easily be done by another group. It can be done by UW Extension. Who says the Diversity Affairs Commission has to do a meeting? Who says that another department for Winnebago County couldn't do it? And if another department in Winnebago County does it, not one of the board commissions or committees, then those meetings don't need to be recorded. So part of the heartburn of all this is that we have recorded meetings, and that's just what it is. Those are the county board rules. So the county board rules state that. So that can be handled by anybody. That can be handled by, I don't know, whatever. I'm not an expert in all the inner workings of Winnebago County, but I know it can happen. Second thing is we do need to work on trying to divvy that up. So I'm kind of done talking about the 9:15 meeting, or that 9:15 UW Extension meeting. Anyone else? Maybe you did not see it, you saw it. It's worth watching. Everything else, it's quite the show for you to watch. It starts at 2 hours into the meeting. It's you can find it on the YouTube channel for Winnebago County. So it's probably about a 10-minute discussion. So if you're looking to do something tonight, you can kind of hear about what's going on. So they had a bunch of other comments on there, and just for the sake of brevity, I'm gonna move past it. Anyone else have, yes, ma'am?
Let me just say one thing. When I was there, I was speaking passionately, and I used a word incorrectly. I said segregated. When my husband was in high school in Tyler, Texas, I said segregated. I'm sorry, I meant integrated. In the what?
Integrated high school.
Integrated high school in Texas, in East Texas. And the other thing that I said at that point in time, again, because I was, the carrot was dangled and I just bit into it hard. I said discolored. And I'm discolored. I'm not white. So I just want everybody to know that I would like to consider myself as a Southern person who loves people for who they are, does not sit in judgment. Thank you.
All right, so we're there's no Rachel, so we'll move on. Discussion about the November and December meeting for inclusion of updating bylaws, strategic plan, and future speakers. And I have possible vote, but I have nothing to vote on. Just working our way through it, and I'm going to talk about the next part is this. So my intention is based on the work that Rachel and Supervisor Dowling and Supervisor Haran are doing. We're hoping to get the resolution that we voted on in the last meeting into the November meeting for the board. I think it's on November 15th. If we had a meeting before then, I think it'd be a little superfluous. In other words, I'm not really sure it'd be necessary. So what I'm hoping to do, and that's based on the schedule of folks who are here, and we'll talk about in a little bit, because I'd like to move it out a little past that Thursday, but we'll get back to that in a moment. If the county board looks to keep us in existence, that's fine. We will then look at updating the bylaws. I've consistently stated, I know one of the supervisors during the UW extension meeting had disagreement with that, but that's okay. I want to significantly update those bylaws. We're going to have to develop a strategic plan. The strategic plan was only for 21 and 22. We had to come up with something for 23. And then we I don't know, I emailed, I don't know who's on that email, but I emailed Beth Roberts and Chris about setting up future speakers. I wasn't sure if she was in the business of that. She is not in the business of setting up speakers. So it's my intention that if the county board is looking to keep the Diversity Affairs Commission, we will start talking about future speakers in November and December. Keep looking at you because you're easier to look at. So she's wishing she was sitting over here, so I was just staring at a wall. But oh yeah, no, I'm good. We're all good. People are people. I know we're passionate, so I'm fine with that. I'm glad people have passion. Anyway, so keep in mind, think about for November and December, if the Diversity Affairs Commission is in existence, we're going to be updating the bylaws, strategic plan, future speakers. So those are the three things. So I'd want you to start thinking about those. We're gonna we'd bring a proposal at that time, start talking about it. Yes, okay.
If we go about doing that, I would like some of the executive committees to be involved in this because they have a direction. I know that the health department has a direction. I know that HR has a direction, and Supervisor Bender is talking about wanting to address employees. I know that we have a new position as an administrative director, and it seems to me very logical that as I was understanding his job was to pull all of this under one kind of umbrella so that people weren't duplicating their time and services. So if we go about coming up with a new strategic plan with new bylaws, I hope it's not just us doing it. I hope there's some direction.
All right, anyone else? Okay, so then also next meeting, we've had Melissa and Tamar come to a couple of the meetings. They're interested in becoming a part of the Diversity Affairs Commission. We'll probably be voting on them in November. And then the way our bylaws work is if we vote to say that, yeah, we want Melissa and Tamar on this commission, then it gets sent to County Executive Damel, and then he would appoint them, and he would bring that to the county board, and then the county board would look to vote for them or vote on them one way or another. So that would be part of it. Yes, Kate.
Time frame on that, is that something that we could consider doing at the October meeting? Is it too late? for
No,
us?
we'd do it in the November meeting. We would
Okay.
do it in the November meeting, and then it'd be
And
brought
our
forward.
our November meeting.
And then it would be brought forth in the December meeting, whatever, or whenever the next county board meeting is after that. So, he doesn't have to take our recommendation, but it's what we're offering. So that was one of the things that Supervisor Bender indirectly stated. He said that him and Supervisor Norton had brought forth a couple names for County Executive Damel to consider. But unfortunately, the way our bylaws are written, that's not the way it works. So we're going to try to work best we have. So just have that in your back of your mind. So that's what I have on that. And then setting any other discussion on that. I'm looking at them, but you're the only one that matters. You matter, and she matters. So. All right. Do you have anything, Kay?
No,
Catherine? All right.
Nope, nothing.
All right. Then I am looking to set a meeting up because the board meeting is on the 15th, if I recall right. I'm looking to set a meeting up
correct.
for November 17th. I don't know how your schedules look, but I can make it work for me. Because obviously, if we meet the Thursday after that, we'll be eating turkey together.
When is the isn't the UW meeting on the,
Might be on the 17th.
it's on the
morning.
3rd, it's on the morning of the 17th.
That could be, I can't tell you that for sure.
Yeah,
that sounds
But
right.
if it's the 3rd Thursday, that's the 17th.
17th work for you? 17th works for me.
Well, the evening absolutely does, as long as we're not doing it 9 a.m.
When is the county meeting?
15th.
Oh,
Ms. Catherine?
17th is fine for me.
Okay, and then Rachel will just have to deal. So we'll do that. And then any of our group, any of the four of us have any comments?
No.
All right, I'm gonna, go ahead.
Sue, I'm just wondering, would it be easier for you or Cassie for us to be somewhere other than here?
Well, cab would be really easy, but I know it's downtown and it may not be convenient for.
I'm an
others.
Oshkosh native. I don't know, Tamisha, Rachel and Supervisor Dowling and Supervisor Moran are from north of your Menasha Nina area, so I don't know how that works.
Well, if I'm coming here, I can go there.
Okay,
I mean, we have control access to that building. We're set up to allow public access
Sure.
after hours. So it would be easier, but again, we're
Well,
happy to accommodate.
let's
whoever.
assume here if it's easier for you. Or
Here,
where,
There, a cab, oh, okay, that'd be great. Okay,
unless Catherine has a problem with that.
Nope, cab is fine for me.
I don't even know what CAT is. That's how
Oh,
ignorant
yes,
that is.
yes.
There we go. There we go.
Well,
That's closer to me. That's actually closer to my house. All right, so before, I'm gonna just make a final comment, and that is, I feel like I need to reiterate this. I really appreciate every single person that's been on the Diversity Fair Commission. not just now, but previously. Sorab, Lateria, Supervisors Norton, Binder, Catherine. I think these are some really, really good people. And I know we can be criticized for all sorts of things, and we deserve criticism. We're doing things in public, so public action means public criticism. I get it. But I just want to let you guys know how much I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking time to be here tonight. So thank you.
I would also like to say, I am thrilled, Tamisha, that I know your name now.
You know how hard it is for her name? I bet she doesn't know her name.
Tamara.
No, it's Tamar. I knew you'd screw it up.
Everybody to know that it's a joy to be here and to get to know you.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew you'd screw that one up. So you're welcome. That's Sue Ertmer. She's been doing this for a while. We didn't know. So, all right. Do I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Demisha,
Second.
seconded by Kay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. We are dismissed. Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate you
you.
tuning in.
Bye.
Bye-bye.